Hello and welcome to my channel. I am BeardedDev and this is a new video series on SQL Questions. Now, a popular question I see online in forums such as Stack Overflow or SQL Server Central is all about truncate. Now, we're not going to be talking about the differences between truncate and delete here, but a couple of key questions surrounding truncate. So we want to find out if truncate can be rolled back, and we also want to determine is truncate data definition language or data manipulation language. Don't forget, if you are interested in videos on business intelligence, SQL programming or data analysis, then subscribe to the channel. There is a lot of great content on there and new videos are being uploaded often. Also, if you like the video, do hit that thumbs up button. But for now, we'll go over to SQL Server Management Studio and have a look at these questions and see if we can answer them. In the interest of full disclosure, I am using Microsoft SQL Server. So other relational database management systems such as Oracle or MySQL, your results may differ. We're going to be focusing just on SQL Server. I am a Microsoft guy through and through. Using version 2012 at the moment, but will be shortly upgrading. So I have got this table here, customers truncate, and I will just zoom in to my query window to enable you to see that a bit more clearly. So what I want to do is to truncate this table to remove all of the data from it. Now, if I go ahead and write a truncate statement, so we truncate table, I've flagged this as customers truncate. It's just a copy of another table I'm using at the moment. So if I was to go ahead and run this now, there are approximately 2 million rows in this table. So I'll go ahead and execute that. Very quick to execute, and then if I then look in that table, everything's gone. So that data has now been removed from the database and cannot be rolled back. It can't be recovered. Luckily, I've created a V2 of this table, which is exactly the same. And now we're going to have a look at if we can roll back a truncate statement. So to roll back a transaction, we need to wrap it within a transaction first of all. So I'll just stop that query from running. We don't need to see the full extent of that table. So we're going to open up a transaction. I'll just tab this so it looks a bit clearer. So we're going to start a transaction using begin tran, and then our command is going to be to truncate the table, and it's going to be customers truncate V2. We're now working with V2. We've lost the data in customers truncate. So I'm going to go ahead and execute this now. So I've got the message to say that the command was completed successfully. Notice how though I haven't yet committed this transaction. So once you explicitly state that you are beginning a transaction, you must also commit that transaction. So if I was to now run my select at the top of the table, we wouldn't be able to see any data in there. Now what I'm going to do is simply roll back this transaction. So I'm just going to write rollback tran, and I'm going to go ahead and execute that statement. That's executed successfully, and again I'm going to have a look at the data in this table. So we can clearly see that the data in this table is still there. We truncated it, we didn't commit the transaction, we rolled it back, and when we select again we can see that the data has returned. So the answer to the first question in regards to Microsoft SQL Server is that in terms of truncate, we are able to roll back transactions. So I know I mentioned we're not going to discuss the differences between delete and truncate, and I will just briefly touch upon the fact that truncate just marks pages for deletion. So because it does that, it's minimal logging compared to delete. But because we have flagged those pages, we're also able to roll back that transaction. So that answers our first question. Now we're going to move on to, is truncate data definition language or is it data manipulation language? And I see a lot of arguments online about this. And again, this question might be different in other systems such as Oracle. So we're going to go ahead and have a look at that now. It's worth also disclosing that this is only my opinion on the truncate statement. I haven't got any concrete documentation or any evidence to say that ANSI SQL has determined that this is the standard for truncate. So we're just going to talk about my opinion on the matter. And to do that, I've actually created a new user. So I have created user 1. This person has just got public server role to access the server, and then he's only got permission on our bookshop database, and the permissions granted are DB data reader and DB data writer. So we're going to have a look at a query under this user. So I have already, no I haven't, I will connect this user now. Hopefully this works. Yes, so this user is now connected. So if I try and open up one of these databases, I haven't got permission. I'll just minimize this for the minute and open up a new query here. So he's only got permission to access the bookshop database. The same tables are in there, but customers truncate is empty. We have actually removed the data from that table. So I'll go ahead and demonstrate that this user has got the ability to see customers truncate v2. I'll just make this a bit clearer. So if I go ahead and execute that, I can see that this individual has got permission to see that data. Now I'm just going to see if I can actually remove data from this table under this user's permissions. So I'm just going to, I believe I have got a customer ID of 1 in here. Yeah, so I'm going to remove customer ID 1. I'll just stop that query from executing so I don't know that. So let's find out if this user has got permission to actually delete data from this table. Okay, so the user has got permission to remove data from the table. So he's got data manipulation language permission. So he's a DB data reader and DB data writer. Now let's go ahead, and what we want to find out is, can this user actually truncate this table? So I'm going to go ahead and again write my truncate statement, this time on customers truncate v2. So if I highlight that and go ahead and execute that, I now get an error message to say we can't find the object. So either it doesn't exist or we don't have permissions for it. Now what we're going to do is go back to this user and change his permissions. So I'm just going to open up his user mapping. So again we'll select the bookshop. So we're going to change his database roles. Now we're going to change him to a DDL admin, so data definition language admin, which will give him permission to create and alter or drop objects within the database. So I'm going to go ahead and grant that now. Now I believe this user might need to disconnect, so I'll just disconnect and reconnect, and hopefully those new roles will be granted. So again I'll just open up a new query, and again I'll just zoom in to make that a bit more clearer. So we're going to go ahead and see if we can now truncate this table. So customers truncate v2. So if I go ahead and execute that now, the command has completed successfully. We can see here that I am actually logged in as user 1, that I've just granted that permission to. And if I now run a select from that table, the data has actually been removed. So we can see in terms of SQL Server, we actually need to grant the DDL admin permission for a user to remove data from that table. So in my opinion, I'm leaning more towards on the DDL side. There are arguments for both. So it does actually remove data, but then so does dropping a table. And it is a grey area. I don't think definitively we actually need to know moving forward. We just need to understand the operation of truncate. We need to understand that truncate can be rolled back when wrapped within a transaction in Microsoft SQL Server. And most importantly, I'm keen to get your opinion. What do you guys think in terms of truncate? Would you define it as data definition language or data manipulation language? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Really hope you have enjoyed that video. If you have, do check out my other videos on the channel and subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification button to be made aware of when new videos are uploaded. Thanks a lot for watching.